What's up, BroMob? Before we get into today's show, I wanted to invite you all to join us and be a part of our family and become a BroMobster by going to jointhebromob.com. By going to jointhebromob.com, you'll find ways to support the show and to help us continue to create great content for all of you. You'll also be granted special access to things like exclusive articles, private chats, discounts on our key to the title, jersey pools, and so much more. Again, we want to thank all of you BroMobsters out there for your continued support of the show. Check out jointhebromob.com if you want to see more. Now, let's get into the show. Yo! Welcome into the show, BroMob. We're your hosts, Chad and Bryan. Today is Monday, June 17th, and as always, we've got a great show lined up for you guys today. We've got some mailbag questions that came in from our great listeners out there. We're going to be going over our top 12 tight end rankings for this coming season and hitting up some awesome news and notes. So let's go ahead, get into the show. Bryan, you need to explain what you were just doing with your arms and stuff.
No, I call that there was three things happening. One, there's the flailing arm man, which we've already had him on the show a couple times.
Yes.
The other one is I call it the windshield wiper. So it's just literally back and forth with the arms. It's called the windshield wiper. And then the other one was my attempt at a dab. So.
Oh, that was a dab? You need to fix that.
It didn't look. I don't know what's going on with my arms.
You need to go watch some videos because it's not anywhere near what it's supposed to be.
That's my version.
All right.
A lot of energy
BroMob.
Though, because I drank one of these energy drinks, and so
Of course.
man, I got to stop putting caffeine in my body before we do these shows.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. You need to stop doing that altogether.
Yes.
So how was your weekend?
Weekend was good, man. The week was good. Lot to talk about this week. After the show last week, we had new NBA champions.
Yep.
So Toronto Raptors,
first time NBA champions. First time.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's their first time ever. It's the first time they've ever even been.
So there's a lot to I guess digest here. So I've heard a couple people that are really big NBA fans that have said multiple times to me that, look, they're the champs and well deserved. They balled out this year, but they would not have won had the Warriors not had as many injuries as they had. So, and I get that. You don't have KD.
There.
You didn't have KD.
That's part of it, right?
Oh, totally.
Having a
I'm
deep
not
enough
taking it
team
away from them
to take on injuries. It's no different than football.
Yeah.
If your quarterback gets injured, he gets injured.
Well, I'm not taking it from them. It's a legit championship. Good for them.
The Eagles lost Carson Wentz, their MVP quarterback, and still won with Nick Foles.
Yeah,
so I don't even want to hear it.
But
I don't want to hear it.
Football's football. It's different. It's a different breed of sport.
A sport is a sport.
You're a sport. So that we had new NBA champions.
NBA trades.
NBA trades, big trades going down. So Anthony Davis traded to the Lakers. They're instantly in the talks for a championship now.
They're already Vegas favorites. They were Vegas favorites for some reason before the Anthony Davis trade, and now with him there, it just solidifies it. It's
I think they're top 3 team right now. Right now,
they still have a max salary slot, so they can bring somebody else in.
I wouldn't be surprised if so look here, Kawhi Leonard is talked about possibly leaving the Raptors. I know the big talk is he's going to go to the Clippers, but look, if you've heard anybody talk about why he wants to leave and go to LA, number one, he wants to live in LA. That's where
LA.
He wants to be there. Number two, he wants to promote his shoe brand. Like he wants to get his shoe brand launched. And there was a strong who was it? It was Colin Cowherd actually had mentioned that if you're going to launch a shoe brand, who do you want to align yourself more with, the LA Clippers or the LA Lakers, who have a much larger global brand? And he wants to market them in China. So we'll see. We'll see.
China.
And you have LeBron James on your team. So can you imagine LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, and Anthony Davis?
No, I couldn't.
They're going to win 3 championships in a row. That's what they would do. So we had NBA stuff going down. That's exciting. We had the Blues won the Stanley Cup. First time ever.
First Stanley Cup?
That was really cool. So our parents live in the St. Louis area, and it was really cool. Like I was talking to them during Game 7 or the night or a little bit before Game 7 started. And it was really cool to see on TV. They had like the Blues stadium was completely packed full of fans. And then there was a St. Louis Cardinals game going on at the same time that was under a rain delay. And people were sitting in the stands watching it on the big screen while it was under rain delay, sitting in the rain watching the game.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool. And so
yeah, they should have had. Blues. They messed up. The "I'm Blue" song should have just been playing the whole time after they won in the city. It's just they missed a really good opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm blue, dabba-dee, dabba-dee. I won a championship.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Remember we said we weren't going to sing anymore.
I love it too much.
Blue is my favorite color for me and you. I'm blue. I just made up those words. I don't even know if those are lyrics. But
I can't handle it.
So anyway, Blues won. We're recording a day early. If you're listening to this right now, we recorded Sunday. Happy Father's Day if you're a dad.
Happy Father's Day out there.
Happy Father's Day.
All you fantasy dads.
Eins Franz to Papa. De Papa. Happy Papa Day. And happy Father's Day to all the dads. It is hot in here.
Awesome. Yeah.
My thermostat's all jacked up, dude.
Yeah, tell me about the thermostat.
So I've got this Nest. We've got the Nest in our house, and we've had it for a couple years, and it's awesome. Absolutely love it. However, they just did an update to it. So it's connected to the internet, and it gets updated just like everything else does in this world today. And we had an update, and since then it's been acting wacky. So we're sitting here recording right now. My wife is in the living room making boatloads of noise. It can hear and sense that you're in the house. So it's a super smart piece of technology.
So the Nest, it listens?
I believe it does. Yes.
You believe it does, or it does?
It's a great question. So I believe so. So I'm deflecting that question quite terribly. So I believe it does.
BroMob, and that's what I say.
Please help.
It's a Nest. I'm sorry.
Stop. That song is going to be stuck in my brain now. So this thing should know that we're home. However, it's got a brain of its own. So it will go into, like, if it doesn't think you're home, it goes into what's called away mode or eco mode. And then I've got a whole different temperature for the house. What's that?
It knows you're not home, so it throws parties.
It throws
Other
a party.
Nests are coming in.
All kinds of inappropriate people over.
It's shooting air conditioning all over the place.
All over the nation. So it's just it should know we're not home. But here's the problem. So during the day, if we're home, temperature is somewhere between 76 and 78. That's what we keep it in the house, which I know to you, Chad, sounds really hot. However,
it's unbearable.
Yeah. However, in Arizona, because it's so dry here, and it's 197 degrees outside, it's unbelievably nice inside. Like anything below 76, you're like, man, it is freaking cold in here.
I'm going to disagree. Because I've been to your house numerous times. And it's very hot. You have that way too high.
No,
the heat
you're just
is
not
scorching.
used to it. You have a beard.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's almost like you have a fur coat on because you have a beard.
I'm made for the cold. I have pale skin, a red beard, and I drink beer. I'm made for the cold. I can't handle this terrible, terrible heat that you have there. And you act like it's pretty nice out.
Well, it is. Today. So 76 is what it's set at right now. But if we're not home, it kicks up to 82.
It's
so, which feels warm. So it's just
I'm sure it does.
So we have a little bit of an issue. So anyway, what I was trying to get to, this is getting long-winded, is this thing thinks we're not home, and we are. And then it's got a brain of its own. So every time we mess with the temperature, it thinks, they don't like it like this. They want to change it. So then it starts creating its own temperature ranges. And all of a sudden I've got some 80 degree. I don't know where those came from in the schedule. It throws in the 80 degreeer. And I'm like, what are you doing here? So this thing is constantly testing me. And it's about ready to be ripped off the wall.
This is the rising. It starts with nests.
Terminator.
It's here to mess with you.
That's right.
Wait till they're asleep. Jump it to a hundo. See what they can do.
I get up in the middle of the night. I'm like,
what's going to happen?
Sweating so much. There's like a body silhouette in the bed. It's just sweat. Bryan, get up. We're on fire.
It's the nest again. It's laughing.
It's watching us.
To anger that nest.
That's right. So, man, yeah. So I'm sorry, man. I'm like boiling hot. So anyway,
it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I had a good week. Went to one of these bars in town here, and inside of it, they have a little taco shop, just built up. Yeah. So
separate from the actual bar business.
Yeah. So they're two different businesses, but it's a really nice bar. And they just have this little corner where people make tacos, nachos, enchiladas.
People make them
on Tuesdays.
or there's a
nests. They have multiple nests in there that are just working on them.
It's an army of nest apps.
Yeah. So we went there. Awesome tacos and nachos. My goodness. Drinks bourbon. Good time. And then, man, I was busy this weekend. So Friday we went to a cookout at one of Michaela's coworkers' places. Ate some burgers. Drank some beer. Threw some bags. It was a good time.
I haven't thrown bags in a while. That'd be fun.
Oh, way too competitive, by the way. Anyway, I was a fool around.
I understand,
coworkers,
man.
all very nice people.
Take my bag seriously.
Yeah, of course. So, but no, it's one of those like neighborhoods where the houses are just on top of each other. So the yards are so tiny. And I'm sitting there, and one of her coworkers' boyfriends was sitting there next to me. And he goes, "Look at that house over there. How lazy you got to be. Like a driving lawnmower for this neighborhood."
Like
and he just had a lawnmower sitting there.
Like a Roomba?
No, like a John Deere. He had a full John Deere tractor sitting in the backyard of what was clearly just an 1,800 square foot lot. It was a tiny little lot. And so we just started talking about that and becoming one of the neighbors that just lets the grass get tall. And you're that guy. You just go out every once in a while when the neighbors are outside and you start picking at your grass and tossing it with your fingers. And you wave at them.
It reminds me of when we were kids, man. Our next door neighbor across the street never cut their grass.
Never.
It was like a swampland.
You could hide in it.
I wouldn't want to. God knows what was in it.
This is a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. I'm glad you had a good weekend.
Had a good time.
So
had a good time. What else is a good time? Our listener league, which is starting to fill up.
Yeah.
We've got 3 entries or entrants this past week that we let in. We're already starting to talk, do our thing. It's getting really exciting, man. Looking forward to getting the rest of the people into this league, getting it started, start dominating, telling you to buzz off, not ruin our team.
Yeah, stop cheating, BroMob, and looking at all of our rankings and stuff.
Yeah, God forbid you go
stop it
and look at those. Don't do it.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to it.
Not fair. So yeah, man, it's that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to listener leagues,
and I'm also really looking forward to getting the show started. So let's get going into it, Bryan.
Here's the news.
I don't even have to cue you. You got it down perfect now. This past week, Steelers running back James Conner, actually pretty big news here, came out and stated that he expects the team to spread touches out between the running backs on the roster, and that he could even be, in fact, splitting touches with Jalen Samuels on the team. Wow, this is pretty big, Bryan. I mean, Conner grades out as a top 10 running back this coming season with his workload potential alone with the team, but with a decreased workload, we could be seeing a rankings drop with him. And I don't know about you, but Samuels, that stock's going to start rising.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm kind of torn. So if you think about it, the Steelers brought in their new running back coach is actually Jalen Samuels, running back coach from college. So he knows Jalen pretty well. And I heard a lot of people on Twitter and stuff like that saying that they really think Samuels is going to get worked in. So that being the case, if they're going to split the workload, that dramatically changes Connor's outlook.
Yeah.
I think he's obviously, I think he's going to be the guy that gets the goal line looks of the two if you were going to pick one over the other. So even in a split workload, I still take Connor over Jalen Samuels, but it's a big deal. So it's something we're definitely going to pay attention to during training camp. I'm not going to change any of my rankings for him yet, just on speculation.
Not yet.
I want to see it, but if we start seeing in training camp, if we start seeing Samuels taking a lot of reps with the first team, they're splitting it in training camp, then that's a clear indication that the team does want to split the workload. And it would make sense because Connor last year dealt with injury a little bit.
Yep.
It's a great way to try to keep them both. Yeah, keep them both healthy. It's a long season, and if you can split the workload and still get the same kind of production that you would get with just one of them running it, it does fly in the face of the way the Steelers have run their offense in the past. That's the only thing I would say is, even though he's saying that, the Steelers historically have been a one running back team. So
yeah, but historically they've had Le'Veon Bell.
That's true.
So I mean,
that's true.
He's a one running back guy.
That is true.
New England Patriots running back Damian Harris is earning high praises during camps, while Sony Michel has been sidelined this offseason due to having that knee scope. So from what I'm reading is that Damian Harris could actually push Sony for some of that early down work this coming season. I know we talked about it last week, Sony being away from camps and kind of gone from everything. So it turns out he got that knee scope, which is good. I mean, a lot of players get that off season to help him out for the coming season, but I mean, he's missed some work. Damian Harris is turning heads. It's a weird offense, man. One of those running back situations that kind of can go either way.
Yeah, I'm not concerned. I think Sony's still the guy. Damian Harris is going to get worked in, I think, for sure.
He's a good back.
No, I'm not saying he's not, but and I agree with you. I think he is, but I still think Sony's the guy there. So for me, I'm really not worried. I think it's just, hey, look, Sony is out right now, and so Damian's taking the workload. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when Sony comes back, and whether he takes over first round reps. And so for now, again, just like last one, I think it's just a hold.
Well, here's some news that got us all kind of screaming,
"No, God, please, no, no!"
For everybody who kind of has the shares for him already, Jets second-year tight end Chris Herndon is facing a 2-game suspension after violating the NFL substance abuse policy. So I mean, this is one of those tight ends people were kind of looking at as a sleeper. They were looking at taking him somewhere in the lines of like the 12 to 15 range for tight ends and hoping that he could break out. Man, it's going to be what I see as a big loss for Sam Darnold. This is a big dude towards the red zone there, and Sam Darnold started to click with him towards the end of the season really well. So it's just one of those targets. I mean, it's 2 games. It's not a 4-game suspension or a 6-game, but 2 games is still 2 games. And especially in a tight end world, where they're not scoring you that many points to begin with if you're outside of that top 5 to 7 range of tight ends. It's one of those guys that 2 games could hurt you pretty well if you've waited on him later in the draft. So let's keep an eye on this. I mean, he's going to serve the games from everything that we're reading. He's going to serve the suspension, but could come back. It could drop his ADP to help you get him for that week 3 start and everything. So keep an eye out for Chris Herndon.
Yeah, just disappointing, but I agree with you.
Per reports, the Lions' long-term running back Theo Riddick is actually on the roster bubble this offseason. Just kind of goes to show that the team is really believing in Carry-On and actually C.J. Anderson, who they just brought in. I mean, Theo Riddick has had one of those roles kind of solidified there with the Lions where he's been that receiving back for them. So without a Theo Riddick there, that opens up some targets in the passing game for someone like Carry-On Johnson to kind of feast on. So just more news there. Bears head coach Matt Nagy has been praising rookie running back David Montgomery's route running during camps this season. So this is another sign that they brought Monty in to be used in the passing game more, and to not just be another Jordan Howard in the game. It's somebody that can be there and they can keep defenses guessing. They don't just need to bring Tariq Cohen out there to bring in catches or anything. Montgomery could stay out there on those third down plays. So, I mean, this could mean less passing work for Tariq Cohen, which is where he's thrived. And I really don't see him having anything more than his 90 or so carries that he had last season, this coming season with that. So, I mean, it could hurt Tariq.
I actually don't think it's going to hurt Tariq at all. I think worst case, Tariq Cohen is what he was last year in the receiving game. It just, what I think it maybe screams to is that he doesn't get the additional looks and touches that I was kind of hoping he would this year. But I don't think this really means anything for Tariq as far as that goes. I think it really speaks more to how much David Montgomery is going to play and take over for the Jordan Howard role. And, maybe it could mean the demise of Mike Davis more. I think it hurts Mike Davis more than it hurts Tariq.
Very true.
So, I mean, David Montgomery could be a guy that you target later in the draft. That could be really a guy that, especially if Tariq goes down to injury, Montgomery could be thrust into an RB1 situation pretty quickly.
Really could be. Speaking of rookies, Seattle Seahawks rookie receiver DK Metcalf has still been turning heads at camps. Is actually getting a lot of praise from his QB, Russell Wilson, there. Wilson was actually caught saying DK Metcalf is looking really special out on the field. So, I mean, just more and more praise from his quarterback, from his team. DK Metcalf could become something special for fantasy purposes and could become a big contributor this very first season of his career.
Yeah, but Chad, it's so rare to see a wide receiver break out in the first year.
It is.
So I don't know. I think it's a lot of hype. I think DK is going to have a good rookie season if he stays healthy, but he's not the guy I want to own on that team. There's another wide receiver I'd rather own there.
Well put. All right, Brian, let's go ahead and move on to our mailbag. All right.
That's one of those songs I could listen to for hours on repeat.
Oh yeah, it's way too good. I just heard that song the other day from that movie with Keanu Reeves where he's walking into the it's kind of the meme on Twitter right now. What's the song that he walks into an area room or walks into a room?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that was there was a bunch of them that were played. Oh, I didn't even know that was played for that though. So if you don't know what this is,
in the movie it's called Always Be My Maybe. It's a new Netflix movie.
Yes.
So he walks into a restaurant and that's what they use in that scene is Sail.
Yeah.
But then on Twitter, people took it to the next level and were putting other songs to it, and it was great.
We posted a bunch of them, and there was one that I was dying, and it was Hypnotized by Notorious B.I.G. And so it was absolutely perfect. He's walking
Biggie,
in 100.
Can't you see?
That was awesome.
God.
There was a couple others too. There was Take My Breath Away by Berlin. That was a good one as he walks in. Just reminded me of little Top Gun. That was
it was good. Also good though, we got some really good questions from our BroMob out there. This first one comes in from Ben, who wrote, "How do you think Aaron Jones will do this year? And do you think he'll match his 5 to 6 yards per carry that he had last season?" I'm going to go ahead and start. I love Aaron Jones. I think he's a beast. I don't think he gets the absurd. I believe it was 5.5 yards per carry, which is just insane. I mean, he's not Jamal Charles. I mean, he's not going to put up these insane 5.5 yards per carry every time, but I think he can put up close to 5 yards, maybe 4.9, 5.1 in that range. He's a really good explosive back, and he's got a quarterback that makes defenses respect him. So Aaron Jones could just break out and become something huge this season, so long as Matt LaFleur doesn't come in there and do the whole Deion Lewis, Derrick Henry thing he did there in Tennessee and do a running back by committee, which he's already come out and started to say that that's kind of what his offense is, and he might be doing that. So just please don't, Matt LaFleur. I love Aaron Jones. Aaron Rodgers loves Aaron Jones, and the Packers fan base loves him. Get him on the field more. He's too good.
Yeah, I agree. I think he can average close to 5. And if he does, that's a win. That's a huge win. So I think he does well this year. 5.5, maybe not. He maybe regresses a bit from there. You just look at his average last year, the last 4 games of the season, he averaged well under 5. So I think for sure he decreases a bit. He did have one game, Chad, where he averaged 9.7 yards per carry against Miami week 10. That's insane. So that influences his number a bit. And the game against the Rams influences his numbers a bit, 7.2 yards a carry during that game. He had 12 carries for 86 yards and a touchdown.
That shows the upside, though. I mean,
100% against a really good defense. So
yeah, so
I think he can.
I love Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones is a running back 2 easily this season.
Well,
in a fringe RB1, depending on the workload he actually gets in Green Bay. So love him. Draft him as such.
Yeah, I mean, he's the number 13 running back on our consensus ranking right now. We both have him at 13 in our rankings. Then we're just talking about a guy named James Conner who could be splitting carries. If that comes to fruition, he slides down that list significantly, in my opinion. That would mean Aaron Jones slides up. So that would make him an RB1.
Good. So. This next question comes in from our fan, Zach, who wrote, how do you choose between which running back to own in a split backfield, which is perfect coming right after this question, i.e. teams like the Bears, teams like the Eagles, the Bucks. We're going to keep clear of the Pittsburgh Steelers because it's not confirmed yet. But the Packers kind of fit this mold too if they do Jamal Williams along with Aaron Jones, or they pull in some Dexter Williams in there. So, Brian, I'll let you go first because I think I have a different philosophy than you here.
So my philosophy is pretty simple. It's twofold. Number one, what's the offense philosophy? So are they a run heavy team? Are they a pass heavy team? Are they consistent with how they work through their backs? And then the other part of it too is I want the back that's involved in the passing game. So, the one that has the passing game exposure. I get you want goal line carries, but it's so hard to predict that. Goal line carries are tough because you just don't know if they're going to get in or not. But what I like about receptions and being involved in the receiving game is it's predictable, especially in a half point or a full point PPR. You can predict that. You have a little bit of a higher floor, and I like that. It helps me really kind of guess who I want to play. So that's kind of how I look at my running backs. If I'm in a split situation, I want the guy that gets the ball more.
Yeah, I agree, actually. So I thought you would have a different view. I 100% agree.
No, sir.
The running back that's getting used in that receiving game, you can project that out because they get used in passing situations, third down situations. That stuff's projectable.
Blowouts.
You can actually forecast it for blowouts.
Yeah.
Look at Phillip Lindsay last season. He came out of nowhere. Nobody expected him to take it over. But when Royce Freeman was there, he was getting used. But Phillip Lindsay was in there in third downs, in any passing situation. He got taken out near the goal line for Royce. But Lindsay was the better running back to have. So I think with the Bears, Brian, you might go Tariq. I'm more David Montgomery because I like that passing game.
I just like
he'll be used
with that situation specifically. I think if I have to pick between the two right off the bat, I'm going to go Tariq. Knowing what I know now.
Let's do the Eagles.
Sure.
Would you rather have Jordan Howard or Miles Sanders?
Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Miles Sanders. Same thing with
it was
Bears.
Jordan Howard
I take
before
Tariq.
they brought Miles Sanders in there. But
not for me, it wasn't. It was for you.
Really?
It was for you. Him. But I would take Miles Sanders. And before that, I really wasn't buying the Jordan Howard move.
Interesting. All right. Well, so that's our answer there. Go with the running back that's used in the passing game, Zach. They're used more in the offense usually. Any team that has somebody that can get used in the passing game, that's who you're going to want to kind of target in any of those split backfields. And this last question comes in from Mike, who wrote, who wins? Brian, this one's a little bit different. Who wins in a fight?
Ooh.
Tom Cruise or Justin Bieber?
I don't really know what this has to do with football, but I love it.
They're about the same height.
This is a tough one for me because, man, I do love me some Tom Cruise. Depends. Here, I'll preference. It depends. Does Justin Bieber have space to run? So, like, are they in a confined space or are they in an open field?
If there's running room, it's always Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is going to win in a run.
Tom Cruise is going to run, hit you, keep running. You just won't touch him. So he'll be running the whole time.
Does Tom Cruise get his stunts double? His stunt double?
No stunt doubles. So it's Tom Cruise the whole time. Is Tom Cruise on a motorcycle?
Oh.
Are they fighting while on motorcycles? That's even a more valid question. This one's too tough. I think I take Tom Cruise in all scenarios. On motorcycles, Tom Cruise wins. While running, Tom Cruise wins. Just sitting on the couch, Tom Cruise wins.
Eating potato chips, Justin Bieber wins.
While singing, Tom Cruise wins.
I think Justin Bieber might be singing, "What do you mean?
Why are you mean?
You say I will lose to Tom Cruise. What do you mean?"
Yeah, well, Justin Bieber just got beat up 80 times by Tom Cruise. There's no way Justin Bieber's winning that fight.
No. This is Tom Cruise, hands down.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Well, thank you, BroMob, for all the questions you brought in. It was really fun reading through those. Thank you for the Tom Cruise one. A little bizarre, but loved it.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and move forward, Brian, with some rankings. All right, here it is. This is us finishing up all of our ranking segments with our top 12 tight ends for this coming fantasy football season. Man, I am pumped. This is one of those positions that you can draft high and feel lucky about it, or feel happy about it, I should say, or draft late and hope you're lucky for it. Last season, I drafted George Kittle. I think it was the 10th or 11th round. And man, I was happy. I was real happy about that. So, Brian, let's go ahead and get us started. I believe you're starting us off. Go ahead, hit it.
Yeah, number 1 is Travis Kelce.
And your name is? I'm Thor. You're Thor? Well, it hurts.
Why?
His nickname is Thor. Oh, so he's Thor.
I did not know his nickname was Thor, so that drop got me like a little confused. All right, so number 1 overall, Travis Thor Kelce. ESPN, he was the number 1 consensus tight end last year. ADP currently going at the 202. Chad, we both have him at number 1. This was an easy one. 2018 was an unbelievable year for him. He had career highs across the board. 1,300 yards receiving, 10 touchdowns, 150 targets, 103 receptions. It's unbelievable. 243 fantasy points. And he was a stud. So 26% target share last year is ridiculous. I see nothing changing.
Especially for tight end.
Oh, 100%. So I see nothing changing. He's a tight end 1 last year, 80% of the time. So consistency off the board. There's not much you have to worry. You take him. Unfortunately, you got to take him pretty early. But if you're going to take him, you're not making a mistake. The guy's a stud.
80% of the time, he worked every time.
Every time. That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Coming in at number 2, we've got Zach Ertz, who, ladies and gentlemen, is going at an ADP cost of the 212. Was ESPN's number 2 ranked tight end. Listen, this is a guy who broke the record for receptions for a tight end last season with 116 receptions and 1,100 receiving yards, a little over 1,100 receiving yards. Yes, regression is bound, but I'll take the guy that's going to regress from record-breaking season any day. Zach Ertz has himself a role solidified with Carson Wentz and that Eagles offense, and they love him. Goddard was there last season. Even with Goddard there, Ertz gets used in the passing game. He's one of those tight ends. He's really hard to cover because his route running is just so crisp. And aside from Wentz loving him, I love him. He's a good dude. Just leave it at that. You're getting one of the most consistent tight ends in the league. Feel safe taking him at the back of the second round because he's worth every penny. So Zach Ertz, number 2. put it on the board.
His number 2 or his good guy ranking number 1 consensus overall. Jeez. All right, moving on. Number 3 is George Kittle.
Not a lot, baby girl, just a little bit.
Yep.
Just
George,
a little bit of that drop.
I can't handle this stuff today. Oh man, this episode is derailed. So George Kittle's our number 3 consensus tight end. We both have him at number 3. I'll be honest. So I was not on the George Kittle train for a while.
You weren't.
I called BS. I felt like he had a couple games that just blew up last year, and it really affected his rankings. However, I've studied some film on him recently. I'm on the train. I'm on it. So George Kittle last year, ESPN number 3 ranked tight end. His ADP is currently the 304. 2018. Here's how unbelievable this guy was. 1,377 receiving yards. Broke the yardage record for a tight end in his second year as a tight end.
That's it. That's all we got to say.
Yep. Just move on. We'll actually end the show. 5 touchdowns. Show ended. 5 touchdowns on the season, 136 targets, 88 receptions for 214 fantasy points. It's unbelievable. And that's without Jimmy Garoppolo as his quarterback.
And
arguably bums as quarterback.
Well, shuffling between CJ Beathard and Nick Mullins.
Yeah, bumsards is what they were.
Bumsards.
So I look at Kittle. He's a guy that could what's the opposite of regress? Progress?
Impress.
Upgress. He could upgress.
Upwards.
He could go north instead of south. So he's a guy that I see could improve year over year. So George Kittle number 3, and the 303 ADP for him is a pretty good price.
I've seen him going higher in a lot of drafts because people love him so much, and so they're reaching on him. And you know what? Go ahead and reach on him too if you're in the second round and you're really looking for that guy. George Kittle's going to be a beast this coming season. So you know who else is going to be a beast this coming season? OJ Howard, who we have at our number 4, and I actually have him ranked at 4. Brian, I think you have him at 5.
Nope, 4.
But here's the thing. OJ Howard, when healthy, is one of the best tight ends in the league. He played 10 games last season and had 565 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. And that was between 2 quarterbacks and an offense that was kind of up and down all over the place. He's got a coach that loves to pass the ball, and he loves to air it out too in Bruce Arians. So Bruce Arians, people like to say that he doesn't like the tight end, he doesn't like using them, but he's never quite had a tight end like OJ Howard with his skill set. Howard's a good field stretcher, and he outruns most linebackers, if not all of them, that try to cover him. So right now he's going at 506. He was ESPN's 13th ranked tight end last season, missing every game after the 10th week. In the 5th round, OJ Howard, I would almost value him as high as George Kittle in the 3rd. But you're getting him in the 5th. Take it all day.
Yeah, actually, I do have him at the 5. So I was wrong about that. Yeah, I think he's a stud. So I'm all about him this year. I mean, there's only one guy that I stat ahead of him right now, and I'm really even kind of scratching my head at it a bit, to be quite honest. So I'll move on to him. Number 5 tight end is Eric Ebron. Eric Ebron is the consensus 5. I have him at 4. Chad, you have him at 5. Yep. Last year, ESPN ranked number 4 tight end. His ADP is currently at the 610. This guy put up 750 yards, 13 tutties, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's sick. 13. Did I say it again? One more time. 13. That's ridiculous. So
yeah,
110 targets, 66 receptions. That's the only thing about him is his catch rate. Hands. Yeah, his catch rate is really low. So if he could improve that, I think he could elevate himself to the next tier of, really the Kittles and Ertzes of the world. Yeah. He's got the quarterback to do it. And so
he does.
189 points on the season. I mean, he only had 25 less points than Kittle. So, but those touchdowns get you there.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think a guy that you can get in the back of the 6th round, I think he's a steal. He's got some upside potential. I do think the touchdowns regress a bit, Chad. So that's what worries me. But if he can get the yardage up and improve on those reception numbers a bit, I think he could still kind of fall right around the 5.
Number 6, we've got Hunter Henry. And this is our consensus. Brian, we actually both have him at 6. Currently going at the ADP 604. And, of course, he wasn't ranked in ESPN last season because he was out all last season. So why would we have a tight end that was out for a full season this high? Is because there's not really any other tight ends quite like him. So Phillip Rivers loves him, and actually when he's on the field, it's one of the most successful duos in the NFL, Brian. Him and Hunter Henry. It's actually top 5. So it's incredible what they do whenever they're healthy and playing together. Phillip Rivers is always healthy, but when Hunter Henry's healthy, he's out there catching everything that comes his way. So why 6 and not in the top 3 or 5? A, health concerns, like we mentioned. His entire career he's been injured. B, he probably needs some time to reacclimate to the offense and to the NFL speeds. Again, because he's been gone from football for over a year, really. He got hurt in offseason last season. And then finally, Mike Williams exists there. One of the biggest men I've ever seen other than DK Metcalf. And he solidified himself as a real red zone threat for that team. So Hunter Henry, his touchdown production, he could only see himself getting 4, maybe 5 touchdowns. But, I mean, geez, George Kittle had 5 touchdowns last season with 1,300 yards and was a beast. So Hunter Henry at the 6, I'm feeling comfortable with it so long as the guy can stay healthy.
Yeah, this is my guy. I'm putting my stamp on him this year. This is my dude. And, really, I think he comes back. And I don't think there's any rust. That's what training camp's for. It's what preseason's for. They're gonna let him get out there and play. I think he comes in. Teams are gonna be throwing coverage and shade on Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, and I think you're gonna have some games, a lot of games where this guy is the leading, maybe not the leading receiver, but he's going to put up points. That's my point here. And at the 6, what's he going at, Chad? The 604?
Yep.
That is a steal. So this is my guy. I'm putting my stamp on him this year. All right. Number 7 is Evan Ingram. And so Evan Ingram, I kind of feel bad that he's at number 7. I feel like he should be higher. Evan Ingram is our consensus 7. We both have him at 7. Last year, he was the ESPN ranked 12 tight end. His ADP is 603. So he's going at the early part of the 6th round. 577 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had 64 targets and 45 receptions. Pretty impressive. Here's what is really impressive about this dude and why I think he may be in line for a really good year. Week 14, OBJ was sat down for the season due to injury, right? He had, prior to that, in the games he played, he had some injury issues last year, sat out a few games. He was averaging 5.5 targets per game, with games where OBJ was also playing. After they sat down OBJ, he played out those last 4 games. He averaged 7.75 targets per game. That's a 41% increase in targets. His fantasy production also went through the roof in those last 4 games. So now there's no OBJ in New York. Sterling Shepard was around in these 4 games. So you can't say, well, there's no Sterling Shepard. I think Evan Ingram is in line for a target share increase. And who else are they going to throw it to? You got Sterling Shepard. You got Barkley out the backfield. I think Evan Ingram is going to have a really good season, and I think he's a guy that you can get deep into the middle part of the draft at the 603. Could be a pretty good steal.
Yeah, this is the deepest I've seen tight end in a long time. So getting a guy like Evan Ingram at the 602 is like you just said, a steal for most teams. So, I mean, you can wait longer than you've needed to for a really high-end tight end this season. So, this is going to be a really good year for fantasy for them. Coming at number 8, we got Jared Cook, who, another guy. So, he's going at the 702, Brian. He was ESPN's number 5 tight end last season in half-point PPR. And quite frankly, I mean, he joins sort of a better situation than he had even last year. So, last year, he played for Oakland Raiders, had Derek Carr throw him the football. Yes, they didn't really have anybody else to throw to, so Jared Cook was the guy to throw to there. But now he goes to a team in New Orleans who's already got great weapons around him with Mike Thomas and Alvin Kamara. And defenses are already going to be kind of confused by those two alone and the use of them. So right around that red zone area, Jared Cook, who's a really fast tight end and pretty good at route running, could find himself being open quite often when defenses are playing up to guard Kamara or they got double team coverage over there on Michael Thomas. I mean, Jared Cook going in the 7th round, he could end up being that ESPN 5 ranked tight end again with some high yardage and high usage rates that could come with New Orleans. So the only reason we're not keeping him that high is the fact that he's coming to a new team. He's got to learn a new offense. But Jared Cook's kind of bounced around his whole career, and this is kind of his MO. He goes to a new team. He learns the offense pretty quick. He does the route running that they need him to do, and he does good for the most part. So Jared Cook at 8 could be a steal. Could also just end up being the 8th ranked tight end for you, which is a good thing as well. So 702 is a little bit of a high of a draft position for him, I think, in my opinion. I'd look for him more in like the 8th or the 9th round if you can. But yeah, it's a good tight end and a good offense. Nothing more to say.
This is where I think the tight ends fall off a bit from the top 2 or maybe 2 to 3 tiers, right? I think there's a significant drop in value or what you get between the Hunter Henry, Evan Ingram, and Jared Cook. Yes. That's my opinion.
This is the drop off.
So yeah, I think this is where it drops off a bit. But I think, again, in the 7th round, I would rather, at this point, I'd rather wait a little bit for some of these other guys, but that's just my opinion. So number 9 ranked tight end is David Njoku of the Cleveland Browns. So last year, Njoku, ESPN ranked number 9 tight end. We have him ranked at 9. We both have him ranked at 9. His ADP is going in the early 8th at the 803. Last year, 639 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had 88 targets on 56 receptions, just shy of 116 fantasy points. He had a 16% target share. Here's the thing with him that I don't like is I'm worried about that target share dropping. A lot of mouths to feed. Baker's going to have to – he had 4 touchdowns. I think he probably stays around there. I think he still probably has 500 to 600 yards, probably 550 to 650, somewhere in that range. Yep. I think his reception or his targets probably go down, which is why I think his yards maybe go down. So maybe he has 75 to 80 targets. And so that's where I think the risk is with him. So I think 9 is about the best you're going to get from Njoku. That's my opinion. Because I think when they get in that red zone, there's so many guys to throw it to, and I can't envision a world where they're not throwing it to OBJ. They just paid him a boatload of money, All
right. Well, coming in at number 10, we've got Delanie Walker, and Brian, I actually got him at 12. ADP is the 1105, and he was ESPN's 96th ranked tight end last year, which is due to injury, and that's kind of his MO, right? So he's been known for a few different things because when you draft Delanie Walker, you know what you're drafting. You're drafting a tight end that's really consistent. He's not flashy. He's not spectacular, but he gets you points, and you know what type of points he's going to get you. He's used very often in the offense, and Marcus Mariota loves to throw to him. So, and then finally, he's really injury prone. He's been injured in almost every season of his career, including last year. So, one of those guys, he's not gonna win you games, but he'll keep you in games. So he's in an offense that likes to run the ball a lot, which should help play action and help the tight end in play actions. So Delanie Walker, I have him at 12. He's our consensus 10.
Yeah, I agree completely. Number 11 ranked tight end is Atlanta's Austin Hooper. He was the number 6 ranked tight end last year, Chad, in ESPN. ADP right now, 1401. I have him at 12. Chad, you have him at 11, so you're a little hotter on him than I am. I actually want to. I may need to change that. We probably need to upgrade our rankings because this guy, after I kind of statted him out and I watched a little bit of his film, I'm a little hotter on him than I was originally. 660 yards, 4 touchdowns, 88 targets, 71 receptions. He had an 80% catch rate. Is ridiculous. 127 points on the year. Here's the problem with Austin Hooper is just like it's kind of the same story as Njoku. A lot of mouths to feed. It's Atlanta, hot offense. There's a lot of talent there. And his red zone targets are the issue. Only 5 red zone targets last year. He caught 4 of them for touchdowns. So he could be a steal based on his ADP, though. 14th round, that's what I'm talking about. Like, if you get that drop-off at number 8 on our rankings here, I would rather wait and take a flyer on a guy like Austin Hooper in the 13th or 14th round. Here's a guy that I would put a little asterisk next to his name this year, BroMob, and just say, hey, this is a guy, even if he's your second tight end, you want to try to get this dude, especially if that late.
All right, and coming in at number 12 is Greg Olsen, who, Brian, I have him at 13. You have him at 11. He's currently going at the 1209, so in front of a player like Austin Hooper, and around later than Delaney Walker, who I just mentioned is one of those type of players you know what you're getting. Greg Olsen, on the other hand, you don't really know what you're getting, because last season he played through a lot of injuries, and it's kind of been his MO throughout his career as well, is that he's had a lot of injuries because he's a physical type of player. He missed some games. He played in games with injury on his foot. He missed games after that because he re-injured the foot. And that's kind of why he's baked in this low, is the fact that he's not really trustworthy anymore, and the fact that you can't really expect him to play the whole 16-game season. But when he does play, he gets targeted. He doesn't get targeted quite as much as these other players, but when he did play, he was averaging about 5.7 targets per game, and caught most of them. So he's not a bad tight end. He's an aged tight end. So at the 12th tight end right here, you're getting a guy who, when he was healthy, he had 4 touchdowns and 27 receptions altogether. It's not bad whenever you're getting that, but where I kind of get scared of is that he's got a younger tight end named Ian Thomas right behind him, who really balled out at the end of the season last season, mainly due to the fact that Greg Olsen was gone, but he really balled out, and Cam Newton loves his tight ends. So you could be seeing a lot more 2 tight end sets, which could open the game up for him, but it could also hurt him in the fact that now some of those targets are going to open up to another player. And if Ian Thomas is showing some really good stuff, he could easily supplant an aged tight end for that number 1 tight end role on that team. So Greg Olsen coming in at number 12, he's got that risk baked into his price. I don't know if I'm touching him at the 12th round, but if you get him there, he's going to be a really good asset for your team. Like I said, I have him ranked at 13. Brian, you got him at 11.
I'd take him if my plan was to take 2 tight ends in the draft and stream. Mm-hmm. I would take him. I think he's good for that.
All right, BroMob. Well, that's going to end our rankings there. Remember, if you want to check our rankings out, go to our website, thefantasyfootballbros.com, and check out our projections. We got tight end rankings, we got running back rankings, wide receiver rankings, the whole lot. So go to our website, check them out if you want to see more past the 12 tight ends that we've named today. It's also going to do it for this week's show. Be sure to tune in every Monday and stay up to date on the fantasy football world and to gather any insights on how to dominate your fantasy football league. Also, as we mentioned before, we've got some listener leagues, so be sure to check out our website and enter for your chance to be in the Underground League, which is our listener league. We review entries every week, and we're going to let 3 people in on Tuesdays. 1 person on Tuesday, 1 person on Thursday, and another person on Friday. So 3 people per week, every week, until it's filled up.
Love it. Yep. Also, be sure to check out keytothetitle.com to learn more about our Key to the Title system. It's our fantasy system for draft advice and then ongoing season advice. Definitely want to be a part of that. And also be sure to check out jointhebromob.com so you can become an official BroMobster and help support the podcast. We really appreciate all the support you guys give us.
If you're not on Apple Podcasts, we're also on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or literally anywhere that you can find a podcast nowadays. We're everywhere. Follow us on Twitter at FFBrosPodcast, and you can also check out our website, thefantasyfootballbros.com. See you next week, guys.
Bye, everybody.